Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Asher. I am one of the directors of first-year enrollment here at Niagara. I have a couple of teammates here with me, teammates, I call them teammates, but co-workers here with me from various parts of the admissions team, enrollment team. So they'll introduce themselves in a little bit. I just wanted to say hi. Thank you for jumping on with us. You're all more than welcome to, be how you are with cameras off. Muted is excellent, helps us so there's no background noise, no repeating from our end, things like that. So that's awesome. If you want to turn camera on, you're more than welcome to. I'd also encourage at any point in time, if you have questions throughout this, to throw them in the chat window. And if we won't address them right away, we'll address them a little bit at the end. We'll open it up for Q&A. So we do encourage you to throw questions our way. If you've got one, somebody else in here might have the same question, so we can help address it now. It'd be great. So what I'll do is I'll kind of kick it off a little bit here with giving a what I would call like the introductory step to admissions, some general information from our side. I'll touch a little bit on the college, admissions process in general, but really kind of also addressing things from the Niagara side. So I guess the first thing I'll start with is the biggest question I always get is, when is your admissions deadline? When is the application due? Things like that. And here at Niagara, we are rolling admission, so you can apply. I mean, if you're a senior and you want to apply right now, go for it. We will help you and we will enroll you today. But if I always recommend to apply earlier, sometime before your Thanksgiving break is a really good deadline to kind of have in your mind. That way you can get your applications in, you can get accepted, you can get your financial aid done and go through that process. And then have time to actually make a decision. But for Niagara, no real deadline, just before classes really start the following year. So that'd be the first piece. If you're looking, other colleges, biggest piece of advice I can give you is pay attention to those deadlines, check in with the colleges, find out when they are, prioritize deadlines, and then kind of go from there. Something else I'll review is just kind of admission standards. It's a really good piece to know as you're going into college when you're kind of reviewing that with other schools as well. For Niagara, we do look for around a mid B average, so about an 85 or so or higher. We do have students that are lower in that category, and then SAT wise, we're really kind of shooting for that 1,000 mark or higher. 1050 is a really good kind of place to have in your mind. Again, what we do when we review applications, though, we review applications in what we would call like a holistic review process. So if students coming in, GPA is a little bit lower, the SATs maybe a little bit lower, we'll take everything into account. If you're involved in extracurriculars, if you've, the course curriculum, the actual strength of your schedule, if you're taking some tougher courses or courses relating directly towards your major, we're going to look at all of those different pieces into this when we do our review. And truly, if you come to us and you tell us, hey, Niagara is absolutely the place that I want to be, and without a doubt, I believe that I'll be successful there, and one of your categories is maybe lower and you're just not, quite to the spot that we're looking for in grades or something like that, just talk to us, engage with us, let us know. If you want to be here, we want to try to help get you here, whether that means, going one semester and going into a community college for a semester before transferring over to us, which we have some people here from transfer that will kind of address some of that stuff too. But, whatever it is, if you want to be here in Niagara, we want to help get you here. So please just communicate with us. Let us know how we can help you, how we can get you to Niagara, and we'll do that. The last thing that I'll address kind of really quickly, and then I'll hand it off to my co-director, Stephanie Bushkowski, who is labeled as Niagara University here today. She's our host. Thanks, Stephanie. You're awesome. The other thing I'll address really quickly is when you are admitted to Niagara, once your application is in, been reviewed, and you've been officially accepted, we also do a review for scholarships at that point. We review for a merit scholarship, which is based off of grades, SAT scores, and then anything additional that you're putting into your application. Our scholarships for incoming freshman students graduating from high school start at $10,000 and range up to $23,000. We also have some other scholarship opportunities available to different students. One that we're going to be pushing out this year is we're calling it the Eagle Experience Scholarship, and this is an opportunity for students who engage with us on the admissions team, who get their application in fairly early in the process before December 1st, and then attend an event. So you're doing that right now. So you've hit one part of the 3 pieces to this new scholarship that we're rolling out, and that's going to be in your first year. It'd be an additional $1,500. So that's pretty cool. There's some unique opportunities out there for scholarships. Again, you just got to communicate with us, and we're going to try to do everything we can to help you not only through the admissions process, but financially with the financial aid side of things as well. So I guess the biggest takeaway for things here at Niagara, reach out to us, engage with us, and we're going to do everything we can to help you through this process for each individual person here. So again, thanks for hopping on. I hope that was a little bit of helpful information. Stephanie Bushkowski, my co-director, she's going to take it over from here. You'll hear from a couple other people, but again, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, everyone. Welcome. As I mentioned, I put in the chat box really quick, just so we can mark you attended today, if you just mind putting your name and your high school, just that we have some kind of record and just kind of give you a thank you for coming tonight. So like Ben said, thank you, Ben, for that. My name is Stephanie Buchkowski, one of the co-directors in the Enrollment Management Office. So we're glad you're here today. So as we said, this is kind of like a College 101, basically. We will talk about Niagara itself, but also, of course, just some general information and some tips maybe you should know just about the whole admission process. One thing in particular that we do want to mention for sure, especially with this year, is, well, first I want to say I hope all of your junior years ended on a good note, considering everything that's going on. And now you're really looking forward to the future, and that's kind of what we're here to do, help you kind of fill the void of some of the things that you might have missed during this time. So just, you know, staying in touch with us and showing that demonstrated interest and then engagement, like Ben said, is a great idea. But something very important to keep in mind. So obviously, testing was canceled for SATs and or ACTs, if that pertains to you. But I will say that we're very lucky in this because Niagara University has been a test optional school for, I think we're going into our 3rd year now. So we have had that luxury in terms of looking at the applications prior to all of this happening. So please, you know, note that we're a test optional school, and there are 2 programs that do require SATs at this point still. However, we are looking at much more like different guidelines in terms of things, what to look at if a student was not able to take it. I will say that the testing dates for the SAT, if you guys are not aware, one bit of advice I would recommend if you're on Instagram to follow the College Board. They are constantly giving updates in terms of maybe like AP scores, SATs, ACTs, and all that. So that's a huge, for this time right now for you guys looking, I would definitely recommend doing that. But for the SAT dates coming up, there's August 29th, September 26th, and October 3rd. So those are the dates. There's more even following that, but I would look into those if you can. So with that being said, so being a test option, like I mentioned, that's for pretty much all the programs, but the 2 programs that do require an SAT or for us to at least look at some kind of guide is biology and nursing. Biology is not a competitive program, however, nursing is. So I am the nursing liaison with the admissions office, so I am the final read on all the nursing applications that do come in. And I would just like to touch base on the program a little bit, and so you guys kind of are aware that it's competitive and kind of what goes into that. But I want you to know that if you were not able to take the SAT or ACT, we are definitely going to, myself along with the College of Nursing, will be, if you were able to take the PSAT, That is something that we will look at just as a guide to see, because it's a pretty good gauge of how students do on the SAT, give or take about 40 points. But if you're able to take, some of these tests that are coming up, the most in the near future, we can absolutely wait to get those results before we make a decision. So if you are really would like your scores submitted to us for nursing, definitely we can wait on those, because like Ben mentioned, we are rolling admission, and that does go for nursing as well. It would not hurt you. We would just wait to make that decision, and it's no problem at all. I'm hoping that the College Board will possibly push out the results a little sooner, given the fact that a lot of students weren't able to take it. So hopefully we can move that process a little bit quicker. But so with the nursing program, this past year we offered 90 seats, and we processed roughly about 600 applications. So as I said, it's pretty competitive. Applying early, always your best bet for sure, so we can kind of get reviewing everything. Along with any other general admission programs that we have, nursing is the same. It's very holistic. We do have a little bit higher requirements for the nursing program. That would be roughly, we look your cumulative from the end of your junior year to see about a 90 and above. If you were to take the SAT or ACT, if you were to do that, it's roughly about 1,100, and then about 24 on the ACT. But please, that is ideal, and do not think that if you do not have those two pieces that you would not be accepted into the program. So those are just the things we like to look at off the top. But we look at everything from any kind of experience that you've had, possible practical, like if you're from the Syracuse area or like Rochester area, might be familiar with like the New Visions program, where it gives you nursing, hands-on nursing experience. All those things make a difference. Letters of recommendation are huge, from possibly any kind of internship you've done, or science teacher, chemistry, things like that. Essay, also very important. We like to know why you want to be a nurse, what draws you to it. We want you to stand out because, like I said, you are competitive. It is competitive, so we want to know that about you. That goes really for any major though, because what happens with our admission process is you are assigned an admissions counselor, personally, your own, that you will deal with in terms of when you do your application. They'll be follow up with you. They'll be the ones visiting your high school, either in person or virtually in the fall, putting on different events for you. That will be your main contact for everything. And that is who really gets to know you when we're reading your application. So when you do that essay portion, all those kinds of things, just know that really helps us to get to know you as a student. And it's not the time to sell yourself short. Really talk about everything that you've done your entire high school career. Talk about any kind of experiences inside of school, outside of school. All those things make a difference to us. So definitely include all of that with like an activities resume or something along those lines. We also will, for nursing, look at your core classes. Math, science are looked at pretty heavily. Chemistry, health, biology in particular. So those are things you really want to kind of know how you feel. As long as you feel strongly in those areas, and feel very confident, you should be good in terms of looking at acceptance. Now, this year, I'm trying to also too with the application process, I'm trying to think, there's, it's not like when looking at the PSAT and such and things like that, like we all agreed what happened with the testing is certainly no one's fault. So this is not the year to have like a hard line with things. So we're really, like I said, be taking a lot of things into consideration. So, but like I said, my name is Stephanie in the offhand. Especially if you have any questions, reach out to me directly. I'll be happy to help with anything. And just quickly, something to touch base on too, which we won't go into heavily because it's a little bit down the road, but financial aid. Applying for that obviously is very important and something that you and your families want to do as soon as you can. The application, the FAFSA form, which you may or may not have heard of in terms of what it actually stands for, but it's free application for federal student aid. And what this form does is determine anything you might be eligible for outside of the merit scholarship money that you're receiving. That merit money that you receive from us, from Niagara, is strictly doing what you has nothing to do with financial aid or anything like that or need. It's strictly just your grades and SAT or ACT if you decide to submit those. So the FAFSA does everything else. It's available to you and your family October 1st. You have up to 10 schools on this form of where you'd like your financial results sent to. And then once the state is done processing everything, they send the results to each of the individual schools, and then you will get a financial aid package from every single school that you've been accepted to. Only ones that you've actually had the application completed and been accepted. So you'll get all that. Ours generally go out, I'm going to say roughly third week of January or so. And then you, like I said, kind of will be getting application around financial aid packages from other schools as well. Please know that we are very, very big on affordability for you. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask for additional assistance if you're looking for that, especially if you're comparing other schools. So just don't hesitate to be very honest and upfront with us, because we'll do whatever we can to make it the most affordable for you, for sure. So those are some, just key points. Oh, we have someone joining us. Here we go. Okay. Those are kind of the basics. So because I was nursing and financial aid, so at that point. So now I'm not sure. I think we may have a couple of transfer students that registered today. I know we also from Canada as well. So I'm going to kind of turn things over to the director of transfer, which is Mark Wojnowski, if you want to talk a little bit about that. Thanks, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Stephanie. My name is Mark Wojnowski. As Stephanie said, I'm the Director of Transfer Admissions. I just want to take a few minutes and talk with you today a little bit about our transfer process so you have a good understanding of what we look for and the different scholarships and things that we have. One of the main things that separates us from other schools is that we have a wonderful program at Niagara that we call Compass. And what Compass basically is that we are able to get you your admissions decision, your credit review, your financial aid package, and your initial advisement all within 1 week. And there's not many schools that can turn around and do everything like that in 1 week. Actually, I don't know of any locally that are able to do that. We work very hard to get this material out to you within a week. As long as we have everything that we need, right? So as long as you've filled out your application, we have the transcripts from the schools that you've attended, we have the financial aid paperwork that we need, we can turn all of that around in a week. The main thing is that you're not waiting forever to hear back from us on what our decision is as far as your acceptance to the university goes. And when we talk about that for a transfer student, we just want to see that as long as you've completed at least one semester, at least 12 credit hours after you completed high school, you're considered a transfer student. So what we typically look for is we're really looking at your overall GPA. So if you've only attended one school, if you've gone to a community college or another four-year school and you're looking to come to Niagara, we just look at how you did there. If you've attended multiple schools, then we come up with a cumulative GPA from all the schools that you've attended. Now, I make a designation in the sense that I know a lot of you take college credit while you're in high school. That's transferable credit. That's different than being a transfer student. And I know a lot of you are probably like, yeah, I know that. But sometimes students, when they think about it and they're looking to transfer in from one school, they're concerned about how they did when they were in high school with those classes as well. That's something totally different. I'll talk about that in a second. But really what we look for is we want to see an overall GPA for most of our programs to transfer into at a 2.0. Now that doesn't speak to the difficulty of the program or anything like that. That's just the minimum requirement that we look for acceptance to the university. I always tell students though, make sure you're at least a 2.5 or higher. The reason being, for most transfer students, they want to see two things: cost and credit. They want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth, getting a good scholarship, and that's the minimum level of our transfer scholarship, start at a 2.5. And also, the ability to transfer in credit is important as well. So the better that you do at the school that you've been to, as long as it's a parallel course, we'll be able to transfer that course in as long as you've received at least a C or a better. Now, there are some programs at our school, social work, education, and the nursing completion, the RN completion program, they have to have a minimum of at least a 2.5 for you to enter that program. But the cool thing is that if you have a 2.5, you can essentially enter any program at the university and you'll receive the minimum level of transfer scholarship. Again, as I was saying just a minute ago, we want to see at least a C or a better in a course of a parallel course, a course that you've taken at other school that you've been to and that you're looking to transfer in credit for here at Niagara. Great thing is that you transfer in the credit, you don't transfer in the grade. So I always tell students that you start off with a 4.0 when you come to Niagara, and what you do with that is that's entirely up to you at that particular point. We also have some of the most lucrative scholarships. You know, Stephanie was touching on it with the financial aid piece a few minutes ago. Our scholarships range from $10,000 to $17,000 per year based upon your overall GPA. So what we do is we take a look at that overall GPA and see where you break out in a scale anywhere from 10 to 12 to 14 to 15 to $17,000 per year based upon your overall GPA. Outside of that, we have other grants that we're able to offer to you. If you're at a community college, there's wonderful scholarships that you can get from community colleges. If you're part of Phi Theta Kappa, which is the honor society at community college, or if you're part of a partner school that we work with, you receive additional money. But these are all things that our office can help you with. And really what we would do is just have you give us a call and we can walk you through the whole process of what it would be. So if you have any questions as you're moving forward about transferring or what process would look like for you, feel free to email me at mew@niagara.edu, and I'd be happy to walk you through that process, or anyone in our office would. Right now, I can turn things over to Mark Stewart to talk to our Canadian students. So thanks for being here, everybody.
All right, so I do see that there's a Canadian in here. So I'm Mark Stewart. I handle all the Canadian students here at Niagara University. We do have a fair amount of Canadians that come over. We get a good chunk every year, a mix of athletes and students. 95% of everything that is sort of stated so far here is pretty well applicable, to all Canadians. There's about 5% that's slightly different. The number one thing is no SATs at all. You do not need an SAT. It doesn't matter, even for nursing and for biology, you don't need to have one. There are some things that we look for a bit different on that front. We're going to be looking in Canadian grades that you have an 80+ average, which equates to 90+, depending on where it sits in a US average. So we're going to look for that right out of the gate. We're also going to look that you've got biology and chemistry. In grade 12. So we're going to look at those two courses are on your, or in the event that you might be taking it in your second semester, then we look for it, something that you're registered for it. So you do have to have that in order to get into those two programs. Now, every other program across the board, if you have like a 70 or above average, you're pretty well good for all the other programs. Again, that's in Canadian grades, and so that's something to keep in mind. But as long as you have those, then you're pretty well good. If you're under that for whatever reason, I would investigate that a little bit with you, figure out why you might be under that, and also depending on what program that you want to get into. And so there'll be a little bit more investigation. So it doesn't mean necessarily that you won't get into a certain program, but it just won't necessarily be automatic at that point. If you want business, if you're 70 above average, you're fine. If you're under that, we would have to dig a little bit deeper. So those are the main things in terms of admissions. If you do want to submit an SAT, you absolutely can. If you're sitting at that 80+ average, you're probably going to be in the top scholarship tier already. The SAT might not. You're more than welcome to submit it, but it might not even make an impact at that point. You might be sitting in the top tier and be looking at whatever program that you want at that point anyway. So just something to keep in mind. Now, if you are an athlete, you do have to take and submit that SAT, but not to us. You just have to submit it to the NCAA, to the clearinghouse. The coaches walk you through that process, but I don't want to. If anyone's an athlete here and Canadian, I don't want you thinking like, oh, he said I didn't have to take an SAT or ACT. You don't for the purpose of admissions here, but you will for the purpose of clearing the NCAA. So that would be something to work with the coaches. and just make sure that you're doing everything that they require in order to, clear the NCAA clearinghouse, which we never have any issues on that front, but coaches are really good on that front, but it's just something to bear in mind. Scholarships, like I said, if you're 80 plus, you're probably looking at that 23, or at least this year it was 23,000 per year. If you're slightly under it, then you're probably looking at the 20. Most Canadians do seem to come in at one of those two tiers. But if you're not, you can always get your merit reevaluated. And that really goes for everyone. You can always get your merit reevaluated. So if you're not sitting where you wanted to after, up to grade 11, you submit, you're admitted into, I'll use business again, but you're in that 20,000 tier, or that 16 tier, and you're hoping to maybe get bumped up. That's where your SAT or your merit, your extra transcripts, your grade 12 might help bump you into that category. So we always reevaluate. I actually did one today, and we had a student that bumped up their merit today before they start. So something that you can do right up until you start school with Niagara U in August. So I think those are the main points. The last sort of thing is OSAP. You can get OSAP as well. We're approved for OSAP. So if you are reliant on OSAP, you can do that too. So those are pretty well the main points. I'll put my contact info in the side chat there. And if you have specific questions after the fact, you think about it, then just give me a shout. But you'll be dealing with me anyway as we go.
Thanks, Mark, for giving us that information. I actually learned some stuff. That's great. One of the things that Mark had mentioned that kind of triggered something that I forgot to mention is when it comes to SAT scores, if you are planning to submit, yes, we are test optional. You do not have to submit those for majority of programs. But we do also do something else unique with them. We will super score SATs. If you've never heard that term, it's a good term to know as you're going through this process to ask other colleges if they will do it. So essentially, the way it breaks out when you take an SAT, you get two scores that combine and they make your overall score. So if you scored a 500 and a 500, you'd get 1,000 on your SAT. You took it a second time, you scored a 500, and then you scored a 600 in the other category, we would take the 5 and the 6 and combine them to give you your best overall. Even if you scored lower in a category, so if you would have scored 450 in one of the categories and 600 in the other, we would have taken the 500 from your first test, 600 from your second test, combined them for an overall of an 1,100. And that is kind of one of the things that Mark had mentioned was getting your merit reevaluated. Well, you take the SAT, submit your scores, submit your transcripts, we accept you, we give you a merit, there you go. If you're planning on, in between getting accepted and starting at NU, plan to retake your SAT, you can focus on one of the areas that you maybe didn't do so great on, improve in that section, then we'll take it, combine your SAT, and reevaluate your merit at that time to see if your SAT increase would help you. On the flip side of that, if you take it and you do worse on the SAT, don't worry, we won't use it. We're going to take whatever your best overall score is. So taking it a second time, at least for Niagara, is not going to hurt. I cannot speak to other universities. They may take your most recent score and accept it that way, and they might not super score. They may have to have an overall. So it's a good tip as you're going through this process. Check in with each individual college or university that you're going to talk to. Find out if they super score and if it's worth you retaking those. One other thing that we'll do, if it's prior to your application coming in and you're not sure which way to go, you're not sure, hey, I don't know if I should take the essay or if I should submit or if I should go test optional, again, reach out to us. We'll take a look, and if we can evaluate that you would be better off going test optional, we'll give you that advice. So just know, again, we're here to help. Reach out, and we'll do whatever we can. So just some stuff that I forgot that I wanted to throw out there.
I wanted to mention a couple of things too, Ben. Thanks for that. So in terms of majors, I just want to kind of mention just some of the things that we're known for, and then also talk a little bit about our decided program. Some of the biggest majors we're known for with like I mentioned before with nursing, of course, with it being competitive, but also criminal justice, education, accounting, sport management. Those are some of the strongest ones and more popular ones for us. But I just want to mention something that we have, which is I think one of the best programs we have on campus. Is called the Academic Exploration Program, and it's won national awards. It's in Vegas for being one of the best in the country, very well recognized and very unique. So, I mean, you can enter into any school, undecided or undeclared, but for ours, it's very different, very personalized. You enter into the undecided program and you're given an academic advisor that you meet with on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. They're constantly guiding you, seeing what you like and what you don't like, seeing your strengths, kind of weeding things out. They do software program with you, all those kinds of things, so it's great. And you actually have the opportunity to take classes from pretty much every single major across the board for the first 2 years. And then you can choose a major at that point and move out of it. If you decide sooner, that's great. Like say you decide, okay, you decide to take a criminal justice class, you're like, oh my God, I figured this is exactly what I want. Fine, come sophomore or second semester freshman year, you can switch over and get into that if you would like. But just know you have up until that time if you need it, and they will still guarantee you graduate in 4 years and keep you right on track. So it's something, I mean, if you're just a little bit unsure, I think it's worth it. Average college student, I think, if I'm right, changes majors like 3 times over the 4 years. So if you're a little bit unsure and trying to find your way, I think it's probably worth it. 2 other quick things, total side notes, but just as we're talking, AP courses. If you're taking any AP classes, I just wanted to say that we look for about 3 and above on those to get college credit. And for one additional piece of the nursing program, I wanted to mention, when you're looking at other schools, you'll hear that most nursing programs are competitive, but something important for you to know is that with some programs, just be cautious because you may be accepted to this school, but you're not necessarily accepted in nursing, and then you are not guaranteed a seat when the time comes. For us, that is not the case. Niagara is a direct entry freshman program. So you begin immediately your freshman year into the nursing program. Having that small cohort, only about like 90 students or so, you're really working closely getting yourself through because it's a pretty rigorous program. But just know something with that, if anyone is interested in nursing, it's definitely, especially looking at other schools, just be cautious of that. And know, like I said, we're the direct entry. So.
And that goes for every program at Niagara University. Mm-hmm. When you are admitted to your program. Other programs across the country that are pretty typically not like that, education programs, there's usually a delay to get into some of those as well. I think there's some biology programs are like that. You can't start right away in bio. You have to start as just a normal student, do gen eds, and then you get admitted. But like Stephanie said, a lot of times you are not guaranteed a seat. So just be cautious as you're going through this. Talk with the schools, find out, am I admitted to my program? Am I admitted to the university? Just some kind of helpful tips there. One helpful tip that I want to just throw out there, which something that Niagara, I think, is also really well known for. As you're going through this process, a lot of times the focus is on what is campus like? What is the food like? What is the surrounding area like? What's going to happen while I'm on campus? Which are all important things to consider. But I think the biggest thing that often gets overlooked in this process is what is going to happen when I graduate. And one way that Niagara has addressed that is we've introduced a program called Pathways. It is a career preparation program that breaks down anywhere from what your goals are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your ultimate goal is, and how do we get you there, connecting you with people in the career field. It's a 4-step process that you go online, go to niagara.edu, you'll be able to find pathways in there, really dive more into it. Or, when you get a chance, come out for an in-person visit. We describe it a lot more in detail on those visits. I just think it's something that is often overlooked. And as you're going through this, just my biggest tip to you for College 101 is look at the schools and ask the counselors, ask the schools, ask the majors, the people in your program, how are you going to help me succeed when I leave here? We're just like I like to say that Niagara is very much like parents. We want you to come in. We want you to enjoy your time. We also want to get you out the door. Not that mom and dad are trying to kick you out, but we want to get you out. We want to get you into your career path. We want to see that you're successful. And we want to help you through that process. So something big piece to look for, and something that Niagara has really addressed with this really unique program that I really don't think you'll find anywhere else. So that's my last piece that I wanted to throw out there.
And we have started welcoming students and families back to campus to visit. So they filled up super fast, which is a great thing. But just so that you guys are aware, we have added an additional time slot, which there's still some room available through the month. All the rest are full, to be honest. We're offering them on Mondays and Wednesday visits at 2 o'clock, but they're full because obviously we had to adhere to the CDC guidelines. But on Mondays, we add an additional slot, 9:30 every Monday through the rest of August. So if anyone's looking to schedule a visit, I would recommend doing it when we get off of the call because it might be full. So definitely do that. But we'd love to have you on campus. So you can go on and register. It's super easy on the website. So we'd love to have you. We're happy to see campus students back. Anything else you guys can think of? Mark, anything to add? Or does anyone have any questions? There's nothing in the chat box. So it makes me feel like I guess we answered a lot of questions for you. But is there anything anyone can think of here that might pop up? Even if you want to just type it in if you don't want to talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you feel free to unmute yourself and just shout out any questions you have, so we can address them for you.
I'll add one last thing for the Canadian here. So when you apply, you don't apply through the OUAC Ontario website, how we apply for everything up here in Ontario. You go to Niagara's website directly, apply there, it's free, and just have your guidance counselor scan and email me your transcripts directly. So slightly different process, again, free, no fee. I know we're used to paying fees for everything, for applications anyway, up here in Canada. But yeah, there's no fee. So that's pretty much the last sort of tidbit that I left out.
Yeah, and on the transfer side, all I would say is that, as I said earlier, it's really just based on your overall GPA. We don't review your high school grades. We're really not looking at any sort of board scores, SATs or ACTs. We just want to see your overall GPA from the schools that you've attended.
Great. Anything else? I think that probably covers it then if I have no questions. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We hope we found this very, of course, very informative, and just like I said, we're really here in so many ways to kind of fill, the void of what you might be missing out on in a normal college search process. So really, if you really stay in touch with us, you'll see that we're offering some pretty awesome opportunities for you guys to help through that. So really keep your eye on different things that'll be coming out on your emails and that, and our social media. Definitely recommend doing that as soon as you can. Our Instagram page is great. Following that is a great idea. Like I mentioned with the College Board too, can be really helpful because it helps a lot of things for you at this stage. But other than that, I think that's probably about it. Is this just us, our people, or is there a chat in here? Oh, no, thank you. Oh, thank you, Grace. Thank you.
Yeah, and something that Stephanie mentioned, like she said, right now, we are in the heart, the admissions team is in the heart of trying to plan out what we're going to be doing in this upcoming year, upcoming fall, how we're going to connect with students, how we're going to get to high schools. So be on the lookout. We really are. I mean, we're going to do so many unique things. We're going to set up one-on-one meetings at coffee shops. We're going to be out in the local community. Obviously, we don't want to do giant groups based on following guidelines through the state and things like that, but we are going to find some really unique opportunities to connect with all of you. On the transfer side, they've got some good things going on too. We're going to really search and find those ways to get out, to talk with you, host events, virtual events, more things like this. So please follow us on social media. Please reach out, be on the lookout from your high school counselors when we'll be coming into your school or doing stuff so we can connect. But it's really exciting stuff happening here soon. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, great. Well, everyone have a great night. Good luck in the search, and we hope to see you on campus.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, great. Thank you.
Benjamin. Great job, Benjamin.
Yeah, I love it. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.